Hello. Um, so thank you very much for listening. And I'm going to tell you my version of the events of the day. Uh, yeah, let's just put it out there, and it'll be out there. Yeah. So the story happened um, 26 years ago. It was actually December. It was the day after December, December 26th, 2000, and I went to work, and there it was, let's see, a third of the staff was there. Most people had taken the holiday, um, the day after Christmas, off. Yeah. So, um, and yeah, I worked in IT. So, let's see, I took care of some systems that did processing. Um, uh, Over the weekend and Monday on Christmas. I doubt there were any. But so the data was smaller and things were ahead of schedule. So part of my daily tasks were to back up all the processed data, put it on tape backup, bring it to the reception desk, and on the daily we had a pickup. So every day, 10 o'clock, somebody would come pick them up. Sorry, 11 o'clock, somebody would come pick them up. But because I was ahead of schedule, um, uh, it wasn't even close to that pickup time. Um, I had it already done and I was back at my desk. And people were kind of taking it easy because, that's how that felt. Uh, Less pressure that day. And then everything kind of changed. So, um, my cubicle uh, was it was kind of like a basement, really. We mostly had a first floor, but when you got to my end of the building, um, just the last 100 feet, 100 to 200 feet or so, was uh, split level. So first floor, most of the building, then you get to my area, and the stairs, you got one to go up, one to go down. And my area was down in the basement, and upstairs was um, some cubicles and some offices and uh, accounting. But downstairs, yeah, I was downstairs among my cubicles and coworkers and talking to them. And then it sounded like a stampede coming down the stairs. And I look over, and there's like 12 people, 15 people coming through. And I look at the crowd. I'm like, what's going on? And as they run by me, one person said, um, so and so is shooting, and uh, get out. And I just repeated the same thing to my coworkers. I saw that I had eye contact and that they heard me, I think. And then I turned towards everyone that was already heading for the exit, and it was like, call it what you will, guardian angel, some force just said, "Okay, go." And I went, and I followed them out. And when I got outside, um, I swear I only turned around for a moment, and everybody was gone. I'm sure they scattered into different directions, and but they were gone. So I was outside alone, and I kept walking. I went across the street, and that long building that we're in, there's a parking garage that was just as long, ran parallel to it across the street, and somewhere in there was my car. But I was outside in the cold without a jacket and keys. Um, I didn't see anybody. I ran behind the garage. Um, I waited another minute or two, maybe, and I saw somebody run out. But a car came out of the parking garage. They jumped into the car and took off. And once again, I was alone and cold. So I started to walk back towards the building. But then I realized I can't go in the building, and I'm standing on the corner closest to that door, and I heard what sounded like pots and pans being uh, banged together or something like that. And on the other side of our section of the building, that there is a loading dock, so I went to go see if there were people there. Um, and I went in there, and there's nobody in there. So what did I hear? Well, I heard a couple more pops, and I look up, and I also saw a flash of light, and I realized those were gunshots. And they didn't sound anything like they do in movies. Not really. Not the ones that, yeah. Anyhow, so I went across the street again to the backside of the parking garage, and I was cold, but I wasn't like in the line of fire, and I guess that was good. So I started walking between um, again. There's the building, street, parking lot, and then I'm here behind the parking lot garage and the railroad that runs parallel to that. So I started walking along between the building and the railroad tracks, and then I got to the corner, and again, I'm so cold at this point. I just had a shirt on, um, no jacket, and I started to walk. I turned the corner and started to walk back towards the building. And luckily, there was a detective there, or a sergeant, I forget. But he's peering around the corner. He's looking at the main entrance, and then he turns around. He sees me, and he's just kind of like holding his gun, and um, he sees me, and probably saw a shock on my face, I would guess, and told me, he's like, "See that coffee shop over there? Go in there, order a coffee, and sit down." Um, I was not really a coffee drinker at this point, but at that point, things were changing fast. So I went in there and I ordered a coffee, and I've I've drank coffee every day since then. Yeah, not every day, close, a whole lot more than I used to. That's for sure. So um, yeah. So then what happened? I'm at the coffee shop. I'm looking across the street. I'm definitely in shock, and I think I had a couple sips of coffee, and I was warm. I saw some of my coworkers leave the building like in a single file. Uh, they were on the exact opposite end of the building, the part of the building that I was in. They were in the exact opposite, so um, I'm guessing they took shelter on that end of the building because the way the story goes, the shooter started at the reception desk, so um, which is right in the middle, and that's where the main entrance is. And then my coworkers were leaving, going into there was a store just after the parking garage ends. There's a sauna and pool supply kind of place, and they all went in there. And I thought, I think maybe they know something. Um, so I got up and left the coffee shop, and I went closer to the building, and but I stopped at the sauna pool place. Went in there, and yeah, they're in there, and somebody was making a phone call, and I'm looking around, and everyone's just in shock. I could see it on their faces, no problem. Um, I don't know how much more time went by, but then uh, they sent us across another street um, to a church, and that's where everybody was gathering, was at the church. And I remember state police being there, taking some statements. Nobody took my statement. I don't know what I would have said anyway, so it doesn't matter. Um, my I finally found in the church. I finally found my close coworkers. We're in the same uh, section, cubicle, department, all that cubicle area down in the basement. And one of them got permission to go back in and get stuff. And I said, I really need my keys. Um, uh, Jacket would have been good too, but I didn't think of that. So, yeah. So, coworker, coworker got the stuff, came back, and then uh, they said we could go home. So, yeah, we went back to, um, I went back down the street, and I just remember some reporter lady. Actually, she was closer to my. I was like 25. She was close to my age. Um, Started asking me all these questions as we're walking down the street. And I was like, I have no idea what to say. Yeah. Um, yeah. One of my coworkers needed a ride home. Uh, it wasn't on my way, but it certainly was not a problem. I gave him a ride home, and I finally got home, and my father was there. Um, and gave me such a big hug. It was exactly what I needed. There was so much energy stuck and built up and stuck, and that brought some relief. Yeah. So that was that day. Since then, yeah, you learn all sorts of details about what happened, and it's not good. But the way my mind, the way my mind works is I like to know things. I like to understand things, even if it's just like an intuitive level. Um, Sometimes too much detail is too much detail. So, but yeah. Um, anyway, let's not get into the gruesomes. Let's The whole point of me telling this story is so that I can be done telling the story. And if I'm going to um, share my experience with people, this can be a little reference video. So I will talk about I'll talk about all the things that have helped, all the things that haven't. Um, yeah, I'll share that with you. And hopefully, those those videos, should they come to pass, will be a little more cheery than discussing the dark event that set me down a path of darkness within myself, illuminating all those things that needed attention. And I'll just say that it's a weird moment when you find yourself feeling feeling like it was a gift that you were meant to get this path. And it may not, you may not have said, oh, that sounds enjoyable. That's not how this life thing works. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all uh, for this one. And I am so grateful for you um, for listening.